We weren't built for this much rejection. The financial impact of markets built to break human identity and connection. Hi, my name is Sarah Trumbull. I'm the founder and CEO of the Job Applicant Perspective, the first anonymous user reviews for job ads across the U.S. Consider us like Yelp in a world of professionally mandated fine dining with no health department, no FTA. No requirement that anything on the menu has to exist, or that if it does, it should have to be served to the U.S. labor force. But you have to play the game. Nah, it's actually super terrible out there, really bad, and we're going to do something about it because also, screw doing nothing. Absolutely not. I'm sorry, but no. And maybe I got a little Alexandra Hamilton energy to me because honestly, like, I'm going to get a scholarship to King's College. All right, I'm going to start with my economic theories. I like systems. It's what I do. I am chatty, overly transparent, hate hierarchy, and really love systems and terribly loyal. So I don't think I have not that energy, but autistic ADHD for sure. Regardless, let's get started. This is first mover energy, a lot of like clearing for the public service, for the gaslighting, et cetera, and so forth. I really do hope you'll stop by, share, like, follow, and share us. Opening scene, a marketplace built to break you. Imagine shopping for a used car. You fill out forms, write a short essay about why you deserve it, wait weeks, then the seller ghosts you. Later, the same listing reappears like nothing happened. Absurd in any real marketplace. Common in hiring. Now replace that car with your life. You've applied 634 jobs this year, not even counting the ones you tapped instant apply on because you've ran out of energy to care. Not getting a car is aggravating. Not finding work cuts closer to the bone. In the mythology of the American dream, work isn't just income, it's identity, belonging, dignity. When the market fails at this scale, the injury isn't just only financial, it's existential. This is what it feels like to live inside George Akerlof's market for lemons, which is very much what the job market is. My God. Sorry, but academics, journalists, and public policy people, the level to which you colossally drop the ball on this global job market cannot be understated. The erosion of civic democracy. I have words. But, you know, we might have thrown a bunch of cigarettes in Yellowstone. We still got to put the fire out before we can talk about that, you know? For roughly 27 million Americans, as identified by Harvard Business School and Accenture in 2021, the hiring market functions exactly the same way. Opaque, inefficient, and systemically excluding the qualified for no perceivable reason, and they'll never know why. That number was expected to climb every year. Jacobs and Kula tracked one Gen Xer with an MA in the markets for 9 years. 9 years without an income. Can you imagine? While he actively worked. You know how profitable he must have been for the talent acquisition industry? I really have objections to not understanding what unpaid labor is. Now, to carry that weight in silent positivity. Now try to carry that weight in silent positivity. Performed isolation. Who this is for. This article is for anyone who feels the emotional weight of a labor market designed to fail and anyone in a position to change it. Job seekers and workers drowning under silent rejections, ghost jobs, in an application process that erodes hope as much as savings. Economists and labor researchers studying why unemployment, underemployment, and job churn persists despite record high spending on recruitment tech. Journalists and policy analysts covering workforce collapse, civic instability, intersection of economic and emotional harm at scale. Municipal leaders and workforce boards facing the downstream fallout, housing instability, tax base erosion, and the declining public trust. Employers and HR practitioners struggling against opaque algorithms, ballooning recruiting costs, and platforms optimized for churn rather than signal. If you have ever wondered why the job market feels rigged, why platforms profit while households collapse, and why shame has replaced belonging, this is for you. The financial weight of endless rejection. This isn't just about jobs, it's about the weight people carry home. When hiring platforms trap millions of Americans in endless loops, silent rejections, fake postings, ghost jobs, it doesn't just drain hope, it drains financial capacity. A household cannot plan for the future when it doesn't know if next month's paycheck will exist. And for 27 million hidden workers excluded from hiring systems by outdated filters and opaque algorithms, that uncertainty is permanent. That was from Harvard Business School. There's so many studies like this. You can talk about the lost generation, skills polarization. There's stuff in MoneyWise, Business Insider. Families delay buying cars, fixing roofs, having children, or caring for aging parents because stability never comes. Research shows that prolonged underemployment or stalled job searches reduce household income by 20 to 25% on average, and many households never recover fully even after reemployment. That's from the National Bureau of Economic Research paper. Debt piles up while milestones drift further away. Mortgages, education, healthcare, and retirement all deferred until after the job comes. And here's the structural kicker. This isn't just about individual choice or resilience. Entire communities lose the ability to spend, even if they want to, because there's nothing left to spend from. Economists sometimes describe a labor force participation gap, that shortfall between who wants to work and who's actually connected to work. Labor force participation remains near historic lows, not because Americans don't want to work, but because the systems designed to connect them to work no longer function at scale. I'm pulling data from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, the FRED, labor force participation data. Meanwhile, public confidence in institutions mirrors that decline. Only 16% of Americans say they trust federal government always or most of the time. It's from Pew. The collapse in participation bleeds directly into American households. Rent payments delayed, medical care skipped, college deferred, grocery bills out to cover loan payments. When platforms optimize for churn over connection, they don't just create inefficiency, they engineer financial precarity at scale. And that precarity isn't just a labor market problem, it's a household survival crisis. And I'd like to put a special shout out here to the adult men watering this U.S. labor force dating market. My economic study of what's going on in the online labor and dating markets have led me to unequivocal empathy to the profound harm of facing the weight of this never enoughness from two brutally powerful market players. When the identity structure of the majority of the world's men are built around two global marketplaces with openly inverted incentives, the rise of every last incel, red pill group, Groyper, whatever you want to call it, is entirely understandable. The weight of walking around the world with so much stacked against you sociologically is profound. To those impacted by black pill groups, this is not me minimizing. It is about understanding the profound trauma of these economic nightmares that create them. It's systemic harm, and it does not excuse violence. But the economic violence cannot be ignored. Learned helplessness at scale. When silence becomes the default, hope dies and so does agency. Nearly 1 in 5 unemployed Americans remains jobless for over half a year. Long-term unemployment hovering around 20% of all jobless individuals. U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics says that duration of unemployment. Extended unemployment leaves deep scars, and Burr talks about it. National Bureau of Economic Research on scarring effects shows lasting earning loss even after years of reemployment. Meanwhile, nearly 44% of U.S. households lack enough liquid savings to cover 3 months of expenses, according to the Corporation for Enterprise Development. These aren't anomalies. They're evidence of a market that trains helplessness faster than it offers help. Rejection becomes not a signal, but a condition. A design flaw has become a public health crisis, physically, psychologically, and socially. The collapse of belonging. Before platforms, job seekers lived in community, bulletin boards at libraries, word of mouth at church and school, standing in line at job fairs and seeing faces that mirrored your own uncertainty. The rituals were imperfect, but they were human. They made rejection survivable. Portals replaced the public square with private silence. You submit into a black box. You don't know if the role is real, who else applied, or why you were ignored. The shame gets heavier because there are no witnesses. This is what I call the emotional infrastructure collapse, the erasure of the social scaffolding that once helped us carry disappointment together. It's where the emotional ripples of the obedience economy became most clearly. Shared superiority dissolves when algorithms hide who advances and why. Shared struggle disappears when applicants can't even find each other, or if they do, they risk further economic harm. How employable does talking like that make you look? Shared deference deepens as silence trains people to comply without protest. We didn't just lose jobs, we lost the witnesses that made failure survival. Bigger picture, this dynamic does not contain itself. The same emotional architecture that breaks hiring repeats anywhere algorithms intermediate opportunity. Dating, housing, education, even care. ghost signals, silent rejections, reposted promises. And when people lose trust in the emotional structure of marketplaces, that distrust doesn't stop at marketplaces. It bleeds in institutions meant to protect the public from this predatory design. It's not illogical, it's a reasonable reaction. If we had heard that 1 in 3 medicines that littered pharmacy shelves were placebos, we wouldn't accept that as a sick person's given to address. When the financial desperation of 27 million members of the U.S. labor force has been okayed by academia, journalism, and the U.S. government as a normalized given, while we speak about how difficult it is for corporations, of course we are seeing democratic society break. What is the use of having a government if not to protect us from this kind of madness? Food, clothing, shelter, and healthcare, only secondary to the profit of a corporation? What are we talking about? Trust in government has hovered near historic lows. People increasingly doubt systems can or will act in the public's interest because they're not. Because they're not. That's where we're headed. In the next series, how broken emotional architecture in the private sphere helps civic trust fracture in the public one. And what we're building is why we built the job applicant perspective, because there is no functioning labor market without trust, and there's no trust without shared visibility. Verified job post level reviews restore missing feedback loops. Shared hiring realities reconnect applicants, employers, and municipalities around credible signal. Transparency dissolves shame, improves matches, and makes room for dignity. When your lack of success can protect someone else, you still get to take pride in helping your neighbor. It's insanity to me to not realize that the vulnerable in the internet age are scouts in the army. They have information because they're not protected from the reality of it. They know things. The internet made the world into a snowstorm. You don't call the corporate office. You talk to people on the roads. We're not just fixing search friction. We're rebuilding the social architecture that makes trust possible again. Platforms didn't just break hiring. They broke the emotional scaffolding we use to survive risk together. That's the core of the obedience economy, training people to perform compliance in isolation without reciprocity until exhaustion feels normal. We can refuse that script. We can rebuild the rituals that make belonging real and make markets honest. I do not apologize for empathy with anybody I feel like having empathy with. Anybody. Empathy comes on trees. Human connection grows everywhere. You don't have to only reserve it to a wealthy and powerful person or a wealthy and powerful platform. You can reserve it for anybody. And honestly, really, the internet turned the world into a snowstorm. That's what it did. You have to talk to people on the roads. That's what you do. And we build a connection because that's what we do. And when you try to earn job seeker trust instead of feel entitled to it because they have nowhere else to turn, you also create a profitable business as well because you want to keep it too. It's the right way. It's the way. And we'll do it to the end, till the dark meets the light, as they say, right? Because honestly, I don't know what to say. I just don't like kingdoms, regardless of how they come. And I would say that scratch that. This is not a moment. It's the movement where all the hungriest brothers with something to prove when foes oppose us. We take an honest stand. Roll like Moses, claiming our promised land. I know the action in the street is exciting, but Jesus, between all the bleeding and fighting, I've been reading and writing. We need to handle our financial situation. Are we a nation of states? What's the state of our nation? I'm past patiently waiting. I'm passionately smashing every expectation. Every action's an act of creation. I'm laughing in the face of casualties and sorrow. For the first time, I'm thinking past tomorrow. It was a good play, okay? The words are very good. I like patterns. Lin-Manuel Miranda, that play was so good with the patterns. It was chef's kiss. The lyricisms. You. Anyway, have a good one. Stay sane out there. I'm here for it. And see you guys next time.